Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the NLC. We got one more game today, so don't worry. It's going to be Nordavind versus Dusty, and after that Granite win, there are a lot of stakes right now, Orcs.
Yeah, I mean, all Granite did there was not only sort of get themselves out of the fire, but they put Dusty into it. At this point, Dusty need a win or they are relegated. Well, they're going into relegations. They're not necessarily relegated as of yet, but that doesn't sound as hype. They're in trouble. They need a win against Nordavind here. And if they do actually land this win, not only do they dodge away from relegation for now, but in the tiebreaker, things could go wild. They could end up being relegated still. They could go just staying in the league, or they could even end up in playoffs. So it's all down to this one game. Instrumental for Dusty if they want to have a chance of doing anything other than being in relegations.
Well, we're into picks and bans. There goes the Camille. Kerberos did whip out the Nasus yesterday. I don't really expect it to come out today unless they feel like it's going to really work. But
yeah, I think today's a Trinimir game.
Please no. Please no.
What I'm looking for specifically out of Dusty today is just change the way they draft so you're not playing through topside, please. I beg of you. Please, please, please. Like when Dusty was kind of bad at the beginning of the split, they were playing through topside, they were ganking topside a lot, they were giving Flaxish more aggressive picks. Chion was playing ganking junglers so he could sit with Flaxish, and it just never worked. Like they could get the kills in the lanes, but it never, ever, ever translated into anything. And I just really don't think Dusty's playing to their strengths when they do that. When they put top as more of a weak side, or at least a little bit more kind of neutral, you know, and then you can unlock Chelm and have him move around the rest of the map. That's where Dusty shines for me. So already in this draft, like I'm just thinking, please, just whatever you're going to pick here, don't make it play towards Flaxish. Just please don't do that.
Yeah, know your place, top laners. You're irrelevant right now. It's about everyone else. Now, bans have gone through. Desire, the Fresh, the Camille. Udyr, like you said, has been left up, and that is just instantly going to get locked in there for Chelm. Nordavind, though, they've still got a few things open, like the Olaf. They've got things like the Lilia open as well, so we'll see what they want to pick up.
I think we've definitely seen less priority on the Olaf, just with the nerfs to sort of Sterix and Gordrinker and his own kit. And Nordavind sort of were happy to trade 80 carries there. They saw the Xayah being banned, a good answer into the Kai'Sa, and obviously we saw Thresh Phelios be another one, so they just said, right, we'll ban away the Kai'Sa, give over the Udyr, and very quickly they lock in Jhin, Lilia as a response, and a little bit interesting. Lilia is understandable. Often see that's been a fine matchup into Udyr. Obviously, can sort of match his clear speed, but Jhin hasn't really been touched by any of the teams in the league as of yet today, and being prioritized pretty heavily against by Nordavind.
Interesting. Affiliate Sport. I was wondering whether we just get like a Samira, what's it called? Samira Rel combo in the spot side. I think it works really well into Jhin, and I think it has great synergy with Udyr, who just wants to run forward, and you know Rel can, yeah, Rel and Samira want to do that as well. But instead, obviously, they're opting for Phelios and Alistar. Unless Alistar is a blind pick here, and there are a few champions, one of which most commonly picked into Alistar, like it is the Gragas. So Jhin Grag is technically a flex, but I would be surprised to see this go anywhere but support.
Yeah. I think it's kind of the expected here.
I'm kind of a little bit confused. I'm fine with the Aphelios pick, but I just don't think you needed to take the Alistar then. At bare minimum, you could force Nordavind to sort of use that counter pick, because obviously on red side, you can guarantee counter pick if you want, and you force them to use that on their support. Maybe they were concerned a bit about, you know, potentially Nordavind banning away certain champions and then having a clean matchup with the support lane, but I feel like you kind of just hampered yourself here. I probably would have preferred to see a mid laner picked up, or maybe a staple blind like Gnar in the top lane, or potentially Renekton, which Flaxis has done really well on. So not too sure on that, but I think Nordavind have a good answer in the Gragas and are going to start hammering away at Flaxis' champion pool with that Renekton first. I could see Kerberos just picking up Gnar here, honestly, with that sort of first pick as a blind, or they could go towards like the common mid laners like the Orianas, the Syndras.
There goes the Malphite. So Dusty now looking for their final ban. Like you said, some of these kind of blind pickable mids are still open, so maybe looking to ban something like the Oriana away from Ericsson. But like you said, there's still Syndra, there's still Victor, there's still so many kind of open mid laners.
Yone is something you ban potentially, especially when you have Lilia in the jungle already. Actually going to go for the Wukong. So, I mean, this is something that Kibros has been playing into Gnar quite a bit. There's 2 times he's actually played that matchup. One didn't go so well, one went pretty good. So I think if they didn't pick the Gnar, Dusty would. So this kind of forces Nordavind to take that here. And it leaves the counter pick. We could potentially see Ericsson take the Yone, but it all depends on what Legions takes in the mid lane.
How do you feel about, with Silas bans especially, about a blind TF for Dusty? Do you think Twisted Fate can work at all in this comp? Because it was a champion we saw a lot of kind of priority in the past, but it has kind of slipped out of favor.
Yeah,
but,
I think you could take it here. I think it'd be decent. You have the pressure to lean down and assist spot and set the Aphelios up, and also, when Udyr wants to go aggressive invade, having that TF ult to back up makes a lot of sense. So I think it'd actually be a really good pick here.
Oh.
Yes. Dog top laners, please, thank you, God bless. That was what I was thinking. When the second round of bans came through and Renekton and Malphite, it's like, yes, just pick the Ornn, man. Just pick the Ornn, play it simple. I like this very, very clear playstyle here for Chiam on Udyr as well. Like, especially if that hover gets locked in. Like, okay, so you know where your bread is buttered if you're Udyr in this game, and so you can just run in. And no complications about where you're going. You don't have to be spread too thin. Good setup in the bot side. It is a blind pick, but you should be able to get Pyro in mid as well with that Azir. So that's just what Udyr wants. He wants Pyro, he wants to invade, and he's going to get both of those things.
I think it's a good pickup as well to help protect the Aphelios, and also you kind of want a bit of sustained damage, because with something like a TF, I feel like you might be lacking damage in some of these fights, and if Aphelios was focused, you could struggle. But there's a great front line for Dusty right now and 2 strong backline carries. But Nordavind just happy to take the Orianna, something that can look to contest that priority at least. And yeah, so got the full drafts here. Kind of favoring Nordavind on this one. I feel like Dusty don't have as many early tools. I feel like the bot lane matchup isn't as favorable. I think although mid jungle is nice, having the Gnar is going to provide a lot of pressure for Nordavind, and I feel like if Legions or Hoys falls behind, their composition will really struggle.
My main takeaway from the Nordavind comp here is, like, where's your consistent damage coming from, specifically to get through Udyr or Ornn? Like, just Jhin isn't a tank killer as far as AD carries go. Lilia, not really the same thing. Orion is more burst focused, and Gnar, he's in team fights, at least it's not his job to really deal consistent damage. He's not Mini Gnar, he's Mega Gnar, right? So I just think, from Nordavind's side of things, like, in these team fights, they can struggle, but at the same time, I also think they've drafted 4 team fights. Like, they can't exactly split with their team comp, so that's kind of where my question marks are with their comp.
I think my concern would be, like, if you look at the other side, the tanks may take some time to kill, but I think Aphelios is really going to struggle to play this one, because Orianna is just such a huge threat to him. If Lilia gets too close as well, if Gnar gets too close, like, one of the issues Aphelios does have is his range is, like, limited to a degree, and I think there's a lot of tools there where if Aphelios steps up, he will end up going down, and then you've only got the Azir, and I don't think Azir can solo carry a fight unless he's hyper-fed. And I think that's the thing, is, like, when you have a 2-carry composition, there's so much pressure on those 2 carries to perform. It's really going to come down to execution, who gets fed, honestly.
Well, the stakes are incredibly high for this game, but luckily we have our tallest caster on the job, so we're going to pass it over to Scandal to break this game down a little bit more.
Okay, cool. Right, so we've got another game, a really important game, as well as the desk kind of highlighted. This is a game between 2 teams that are relatively close in competition right now in the standings. I believe they are actually almost identical, right? They've got Nordavind and it's Godsend, right? It's Nordavind versus Godsend. I'm not going
Dusty.
crazy. Dusty. Nordavind versus Dusty. So obviously Nordavind had that 1 win edge over Dusty right now, but Dusty can equal the standings if they were able to get this, and obviously they have some head-to-heads versus some other teams that are currently on that scoreline as well.
Dusty won last time.
Dusty won last time, so they've got head-to-head here as well.
If they win, yes.
Okay.
So that
head-to-head here as well.
Even more the reason why you need this win as Dusty, because as Ox mentions, if you lose this, like, that's just relegation for you. Like, there's tons of tiebreakers that we won't get into because it depends on the scenarios of the games as well that's coming up. So we'll get back onto that tomorrow instead when we'll pick up the pregame. But let's just put it as simple as we can. Just win the game, right? That is all you need to do. Win the game, and there's still a chance for you to make playoffs.
Okay, well, we've got some lag issues, so basically we might be a little bit delayed getting into this game. But let's talk a little bit about the kind of the setup on both of these team comps. We've got Ornn, Udyr, Azir, Aphelios, and Alistar for Dusty. Very, in my opinion, relatively reminiscent of the composition that we just saw coming out from. Who am I thinking of? Kova? Granite. Relatively similar to the composition that we saw coming out from Granite. So a lot of scaling on that side.
Mm-hmm. And that just seems to be the name of the game for this kind of meta, X-Control. And let's kind of touch upon about how the composition from Dusty may have a harder time, specifically in the early game, because there's not a lot for you to play around. Topside is not per se directly winning from the side of Flagships, but he can kind of cheat that matchup because he's got unsealed spellbook. So there is still room for Chelm to walk up there and try to make some pressure work there with a gank. And in the bot side as well, it can be kind of hard for a setup with Peterson, just because Touch will have that body slam ready for when the headbutt and pulverize combo comes out. So definitely eyes on Chelm in the early game, because his laners doesn't have the easiest setup, but if he can be creative enough about the wave management, he might find a way to a big lead. But, you know, speaking of being creative, look at Nordavind. No! Yeah. He failed it!
Wait. He failed the... What did he go for? The ward
body slam? The wall.
Oh, no, he failed it. Oh, goodness. We got... no, I thought for a second we had Kerberos actually going bot lane here. You don't see many lane swaps in the current meta, but we're just going to see a blue side start for Nordavind here. Chrisberg and Touch will just give a little bit of a helping hand over to Sharp, but nothing crazy happening in this early game.
Can you even body slam that wall? Like, is it too thick? Now I'm kind of curious. Do you know this?
Nope, I don't know this.
Ah, man. I mean, you play the fat champions. You play them fixed science, so maybe you knew about this stuff, but yeah, okay. Speaking of junglers in the beginning, you can see that Chelm is actually taking a leashless start, so it's going to be harder tracking him in the early game. There's no wards as well from Nordavind that would help out scout the jungler, but on the side of Dusty, you can actually see they put a ward down towards the Raptors in the beginning. And this also helps the laners of Dusty to get some more pressure in the early game, because we talked about it, just by the compositions going in against each other, how the picks interact with each other, it could be a bit hard from Dusty, but being able to just start in the lane does help that.
And as you said, they won't really 100% know where Udyr has started, because no one really gave it away. Udyr is one of those champions that doesn't particularly need a leash in the early game. Chelm just going to go for pure PvE routing, which is just clear your entire jungle pretty much back to front, and then go for the nearest scuttle available.
Yeah, and it seems like both scuttlers are not mimicking each other this time, so of course Sharp is going towards that top side, while at the same time Chelm is moving towards the bot side, so no early skirmishes either around any scuttles X-Control, so it is just going to be two junglers full clearing and laners trying to punish each other, try to zone away the XP. And here you can just see what it meant not to leash for a Dusty bot lane, for example, contra the bot lane of Nordavind, who had to come into lane late. So it's a bit harder for them to navigate this lane, even though they have the counter matchup with the Krakers into the Alistar. And they're making good use of that pressure from Dusty.
Do you have level 2 available now, though? But Pedersen is being super aggressive with his positioning in lane, just trying to be as annoying as possible, threaten that dive. Legions is also doing the same to Ericsson, just putting him under turret here, as that's a lot of damage Flaxius is putting down onto Kerberos. I don't think you win the extended trade Flaxius, though, so you've got to be a little careful.
Yeah, but it's also... Okay, so this matchup is kind of interesting at the top side, just because that... Yes, you would think that Na would be the one who's favored, but if you get into melee range, your jump can still be countered by the Brittle Breath passive auto attack from Flaxius and the knock-up. So it's a matchup where you need to be really careful. As well, if the Udyr comes for a gank, if you get stunned mid-air with a jump, you just stop the jumps. Like, Na just stops and falls down to the ground. It's really clunky and annoying to play against, so you need to respect the setup, for sure. But, I mean, still not really moving up there yet.
No, I mean, he did kind of do a top to bot PvE route, and he's going to go back on the respawn of the Gromp and possibly just continue to farm. That is Udyr in a nutshell, you know. But obviously Kerberos in a bit of a aggressive spot here in the lane, so you could see him go Gromp into gank, which could be something that Flaxius could benefit from right now?
Well, definitely could be, but there's not a lot of mana from Flaxius either, but does have that spell book, so as I said, you can kind of cheat the matchup by having an exhaust ready. You're having an ignite as well, so Shell coming up now, but it is pretty telegraphed from the side of Kerberos, so the ward is just going to clear it out. So not much happening, all in all. Take a look onto Sharp, he's also just full PvEing, so I mean, Scoundrel, what do you want to talk about?
I don't know, mate. How's the day been for you? I feel like we've had some banger games actually. Like
yeah,
really
has
insane
been, like,
games.
It's been upset galore, really, and I mean, we can both agree Dusty would be the upset here, right?
Yeah, I think Dusty would be the upset here. I know Dusty have been on a bit of a tear as of late. You know, they've had some really good performances, but I think overall you'd expect Dusty to be the upset in this scenario. I find it really difficult to call like Group A games upsets though, because there are just so many teams that are like absolutely identical in terms of scoreline. So, you know, there is a clear divide between XL and the rest of the pack, but then realistically, I don't know if there are any major upsets across the board beyond that.
And sometimes I'm just, you know, I look at Nordavind and I see the potential. The only team to take down the academy team of BTXL, and then you just lose to Gods, and then you're like, you're just questioning reality. Like, what did I just watch? Is this really the same team? And it's kind of like how inconsistent a lot of the teams are in Group A. Or some are really inconsistent, and some are just hitting their peak now in the later stages of the split.
Yeah, and I think also it's like also assessing the relative strength of individual names. I think based on our own experiences, maybe rather than based on kind of like current form or whatever. Yeah. But like Chrisberg, Ericsson, Kerberos, Sharp, Touch to an extent, they're names that kind of we know and we have seen them perform well in the past. And so you kind of just assume Nordavind is automatically kind of registering as a top tier team because of that. So that's probably why you like immediately have the thought process that, hey, like Nordavind are favored in this matchup, but Dusty have really come online over the last few weeks and have started to put in some good performances.
Yeah, and you know, there are all teammates as well. Chelm, Legions played together. I think Hoyes as well to some extent in the earlier split as well. And it's finally seemed like that teamwork has started to flourish. In the mid lane, Sharp is helping push mid lane out for Ericsson, so he can back without TPing necessarily. So he'll save that summoner spell, and he can TP as well if you want to extend the laning phase and just force Legions to TP as well, and then have the pressure around Drake, but that's up for him to call, and I think he'll just be walking back. It seems better just in saving that TP. And with that pressure coming out from bot side now, with Ericsson backing, time for a little skirmish in the jungle, Scoundrel.
Chelm's just going to walk in and go for the blue buff. Legions is going to teleport straight in as well. They'll steal that away in anticipation of this first dragon in the game, which is available for Dusty to go for with that pressure in the bot lane if they would like.
Be a bit careful down this bot lane. Sharp is here, but
he misses.
Yeah, you know, happens. It is a tough skill shot hitting, and even if you do hit that, there are flashes ready. That obviously would have been nice burning, but still a tough one. On the top side, you can see Kerberos actually just exited Minina, so if a skirmish were to come out and TPs came down, he would have to build that back up that Gnar, as you can see he's doing now. So that is something you also need to take into account every time you play against a Gnar. Did he just Gnar? Is it on cooldown? Is he tired, as it's literally called in the passive? Like when you're not mecha and you can't transform again, he's literally tired.
Bot lane prio, mid lane prio, some good vision control. It's going to allow Dusty to run on to this first Drake of the game. And I don't know, I mean, not even the grouping here. This would be an interesting engage if they went for it. They're a little bit late to the party. They're definitely losing the Drake at the very least. And teleports coming out galore. Chrisberg's in an awkward spot right now. He's going to be forced to flash across the wall. Here comes the Ornhorn. In the meantime, doesn't land onto anybody and opens up the curtain call. First blood goes over to Flaxius. Dusty on the edge right now as now Flaxius zones Chrisberg away. Kerberos in trouble as Pedersen lands the headbutt combo. Ericsson goes down, and now Hoyes on the front line. And that is Dusty getting the Drake. They also get the win in the skirmish.
God, and that was a beautiful knockup from Pillars and really coming in there to solidify the last kill. And it looked dire in the beginning from Dusty coming out with the TPs just because Kerberos was actually recalled when his TP came down. But look at Chrisberg, his position is just so awkward. And the Alistar versus Krakas matchup, Touch wasn't ready for the body slam. Flash just comes over. First blood straight for him. Ultimate misses from Hoist, but that's not enough. And let's just take a look at it. Who listen here? Weirdly. Really sorry, I started speaking Danish. Just when casting a Danish player. I'm so used to that, man. I've just followed that guy for so long in the Danish scene, and it's so nice to see him pop off in moments that's so clutch, like this fight and this game against Nordavind.
If Dusty win here, it really makes this group exciting because there are a lot of joint scorelines, and I think there could be some tiebreaker situations as well to look forward to. Obviously, there are still some results to see what happened, but if Dusty win, what a story it would be, considering they were dead last at one point in this group. And I think this basically guarantees them a playoff spot.
I'm actually quite not sure if that's the case, but maybe 5th, I think might be it. But I don't want to say guaranteed before I know anything myself. But maybe you do have the stats or numbers up ready for it.
I do have the group scores up right now. I will take a quick look. I might need Magnus, our resident League of Legends admin, to kind of tell us what he means. But they would be 4 and 6, so they'd be tied with Granite at the very least. And of course, we have then Nordavind at 4 and 6, and then Godsent have a game to play versus BTXL, and if they lose, it would be 4 and 6. So we'd essentially have 4 teams tied at 4 and 6.
Oh, how lovely!
And it would come down to, I mean, basically this win would give Tricked a guaranteed playoff spot.
No flash.
Yeah, which I think they kind of have already. I mean, Ericsson's just dead here, I think, as Shockwave does come through, buys him a bit of time, but he will eventually drop. The Rift Herald has been summoned, though, on the bot side of the map, so they're going to give that over for first turret in the game.
Yeah, so this is definitely something that's going to be favorable. You can already see the gold here, 500 gold ready or up on Chrisbacker, so something that's going to be crucial on getting him ahead of the curve, but at the same time, really shutting Ericsson down. You can see he's 500 gold down himself, and he's losing a lot of waves every time he gets dived on a stack wave. Well, that's also a stack waves he's losing. You can see Legion's level 9, Ericsson level 8, and that's just perfect for composition that likes to play the scaling game. We said it ourselves. Dusty had a hard time in the early games to get that composition rolling, but considering the circumstances, I gotta say they've been doing a great job.
It's a big game. I mean, the teams that needed to perform today have kind of come out swinging, Guldborg, especially against what we considered the odds. Granite with a sub came out swinging, got the win. Now Dusty 3-0 up. They are behind in gold, so I don't want to get too excited. They obviously lost that first turret, and a load of plates went into let's say Guldborg, because that's what's casted with me. Guldborg's back pocket. Chrisberg gets a load of gold in his back pocket on the Jhin, and if there's one thing that I would say has been a remedy for success for Nordavind, it's kind of been get Chrisberg fed. So if Chrisberg, gets those resources, that's often good for Nordavind. But this is a good start for Dusty.
It most definitely isn't. I'm getting excited for playoffs as well, like Scoundrel. I don't know what teams are going to be participating in them, but if games are just as close as our games has been today, or upsets are coming out like we've seen today, it's only going to be bangers and bangers from now on.
Bangers and bangers from now on. You heard it here first, guys.
Objective X Scoundrel, 40 seconds until the next Drake as well, and second Drake of the game, so obviously Nordavind would love to stop the Drake stacking as well. That's coming out from Dusty, just because that, considering the composition, Dusty may have an easier time going on for that in the late game, but there's definitely tools as well in your own arsenal if you're not on Nordavind to start stacking your own Drakes, so this could be the first skirmish or full-blown out team fight we see between the two teams.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned scaling there, and like you're going into an Aphelios and an Ornn and an Azir. I think you get outscaled. So I think in the late game, Dusty are even looking like they're in a strong spot from there as well.
It's definitely a tough one, and Ericsson still no flash.
Oh, Legions shuffles forward. Will get taken down pretty low. Actually, just dies to Sharp across the pool. He just slapped him with the orb, and Legions drops. It's a 1-for-1 in the mid laners. However, Dusty have got position on this dragon, and I don't think that Nordavind are going to contest it.
Yeah, even if you wanted to fight it, both mid laners are TP, but I just feel like the pressure was there for Dusty, and it's them who's proactive the whole time. Yeah, they may be down a little bit of gold, mainly from the Herald and the first turret going down, but outside of that, it's just always Dusty having the proactivity and tempo on the plays, and that makes it kind of hard for Nordavind to make these setups.
I've had a bit of info here from Magnus, our league admin, on what this game would mean. And actually, the gravity of the situation is much more intense than you would believe. If Dusty win this, they get third in the group. And I'll talk about it in just a moment as Pedersen's forced to flash away here. They should be able to pick up the kill with ease, and that is a good pickup for Nordavind because they've been struggling to get on the board in terms of kills. But I'm going to go back to that situation with the outcome of this game. If Dusty win, they have the 2-0 head-to-head versus Nordavind, as you correctly said earlier on, Gulborg. And that means that they will then end up third if, obviously, Godsent lose to BTXL. If Godsent win, they'll have the better scoreline, so that would mean that I think Dusty end up in either a two-way tiebreaker or they're ahead of Granite regardless. But they would end up third. Do you know where Nordavind would end up, Gulborg, if they lose this game, regardless of the outcome of the beat? What's that, sorry?
What would they end up? Tell me.
6th. Nordavind get relegated if they lose this game. And they don't want to lose this game.
That's a lot of pressure. Oh, I actually good. But that means if both teams now lose the game, then they're just out. Like, both teams are actually fighting for not getting relegated now then.
Exactly. There is a lot more on the line than maybe I previously imagined when it came to this game.
But only if Godsent lose to BTXL. Only if Godsent lose to BTXL. So there's still something to be decided tomorrow.
Yes, that's for Godsent though, because Godsent are currently 4 and 5. So the worst they could go is 4 and 6. The best that Dusty could go is 4 and 6. And obviously, if Nordavind lose this, they would also be 4 and 6. Now, if Nordavind win, they are obviously in a great position in the group. I think they may even tie up with Tricked, and there might be some situations with tiebreakers there. But if Nordavind lose, they go from essentially 3rd to 6th.
Yeah, but if Godsent lose, then they'll have to play the tiebreaker for Godsent because then they're both 4 and 6, and then they're 1-1 with the scoreline against each other. So
okay, so there is a bit of
there's still something to be decided depending on how the outcome of the Godsent game will be tomorrow.
Yes.
But still, either way, there is potential relegation for Nordavind if they lose this game.
Yeah, I haven't quite quizzed my admin on the implications of that Godsent game. I think he's given me the implications on if, we assume Godsent lose to BTXL, yeah. But irrespective, there are still things to be decided from that game. Here comes the Ornhorn for Dusty. Immediate flashes come out from both Kerberos and Sharp, and Dusty are going to say thank you very much. Easy Rift Hold for us. Touch now a little bit over-aggressive, though, forced a body slam just to get himself out. Dusty, I don't think will go any further here, but they will have that nice Rift Herald in their back pocket.
Bit of a choke here.
Yeah, they are. They're actually taking down Chelm very low. Chris Berg picks up the kill. Chris Berg starting to pop off in this game, and that's what they need. Nordavind desperate to pick up this win to guarantee themselves that playoff spot. And they'll get another kill onto their main carry's back pocket. Chris Berg stepped up over and over again for Nordavind when they needed him. And this game is no different.
Yeah, they kind of tunneled vision on getting the pick there, just putting themselves into a chokehold against Oriana. You can never really do that, and instant punish coming out from Nordavind. So quite basic, but in the end, something that Dusty did not take into account.
This is tense. I mean, you can feel every game has been tense today. Like, every team unwilling to make any major errors. You can see Chris Berger Sharp. I don't think they're going to stop this mid lane tier 1 from dropping. The position it just isn't there for Nordavind. And that Rift Herald will break open this mid lane tier 1. That is a big scalp in terms of towers for Dusty to pick up, because that now opens up the map just a little more. And obviously, there is always that looming threat of that scaling coming in from Dusty. Nordavind, I don't think they obviously got Oriana. Look, you got Oriana. She's always going to do well in the late game, but I think Nordavind do struggle a little bit in just in pure scaling power as the game progresses.
Well, if you think they struggle with that, then they kind of need to take a fight soon, and what better time than in 30 seconds when this Infernal Drake is respawning. You can see Nordavind from the posture, from the vision that they've gotten, that they're in prime position to actually contest it now. So if you want to make a fight for it, it's certainly now. But Ericsson, still no flash, crucially. If he gets shot down before the shockwave comes down, I see no way Nordavind will win these fights.
Absolutely. Kerberos working his way towards Meganar as well. That Narbar only about halfway full, but obviously stacks very quickly at this stage in the game. And he is just about set up in terms of managing that rage bar. You can see he's momentarily able to transform and find a big Gnar ultimate as they actually get the sleep onto Pedersen. That is buying time here. Kerberos now looking for a flank opportunity, dives across the wall. Will have that ultimate available should he want it. Will just throw the Oyuji into the side as Pedersen on the back line doing his best. Kerberos actually taking super low himself. Will be forced out of the fight for the time being as the curtain cool. Will buy some space, buy some time. Won't get any kills, but it'll give the exit for Nordavind.
I can't believe nobody died there, but it was crucial the cast coming from Touch that stopped Flaxus from getting his second half of the Ornhorn out, and with the mid lane prior, well, minion wave no longer big enough, so a win coming out from the side of Nordavind here, but nothing that's going to impact their gold, nothing that's just going to give them a huge lead. They're just, you know, taking away the Drake from Dusty, and you're still fighting against that late game aspect that you talked about yourself, X-Scoundrel.
And the gold isn't exactly massively in your favor either, Gulburg, if you're Nordavind right now. I mean, there's literally only 2,000 gold separating these teams. At 20 minutes into the game, like, it's a lead, but it ain't nothing to write home about. Obviously, there's lots of standing gold still available to take, including this mid lane tier 1, which is being threatened by Nordavind, but Chelm on the side lane is just going to say, I'm here, I'm ready to stun, and obviously Nordavind do not want to take that risk.
No, they don't, and I think that this matchup might just be a bit stale, like the games we've had earlier as well. Like, both teams are looking for late game condition, but about that, let's take a look at that. And look at the cast coming out from Touch here, just stopping Flaxus from getting that on-ult down. And I think if Flaxus got that ult down, this fight would have been completely different. So almost team fight winning disengage come out from Touch there, and then obviously the curtain call trying to alleviate or trying to disengage the fight with some kills, but not getting it through. And getting out of the replay, Ornhorn once again is called out against Kerberos, but nothing major gained. And that's kind of the thing, X-Scoundrel, like these fights, like teams are, as you said yourself, they are feeling pressures. They're not willing to fight over anything. Like, they are just playing so slow and controlled and steady because they're so afraid to make mistakes as well.
And the problem is, if you don't take those risks, then Dusty just get more gold for their Aphelios, more gold for the Legions on this Azir, and slowly but surely, the outscale will start to be threatened, and Nordavind are on a bit of a timer, like 50. I want to see some big moments, you know, taken in the next 15 minutes of this game, because if you're getting to 35, 40 minutes versus the team that you're facing up against, you're gonna have to be damn reliant on some insane Gnar ultimates and some insane shockwaves in team fights if you want to come out on top.
Completely agree with that. Then let's take a look onto the items as well, like Scoundrel, because we are hitting that mid-game power spike. You can see 80 carries, 2-item finish onto Chrisberg, still missing one on Hoys and Legions as well. Gone for that Verdant Barrier that we've seen the rise in popularity. Well, he's looking for Sharp, but Sharp actually not hitting any spells here, so he couldn't disengage with the sleep. That's going to be a huge summoner spell down for the next fight as well. But going back to that, like, it's just such a good item. Builds into Banshees now that got more ability, or great magic resist and stacking. It's basically a Seeker's Arm God just for a magic resist edition. And when you're playing against double AP like you are against Lily and Orianna, it's just a perfect buy.
Kerberos is, I think, a little bit overextended for this second tier tower, because Flaxus is coming through. Pedersen is there as well. Kerberos will eventually turn into Mini-Gnar form, but will get knocked up by the Ornhorn. Legions is here too. This is, I hate to say it, this is kind of classic Kerberos. Goes a little overextended. I think the advantageous thing is there's nothing really to lose on the map right now, and you do trade your life for a turret, which is a lot of gold in your back pocket.
Yeah, Kerb is definitely on brand, always split pushing, but it might be Ericsson's turn to die on a split push now.
And he just whiffs the shockwave, flashes across the wall, but bounced back by the Emperor's Divide. And actually, 2 kills on some important targets. Dusty might feel confident enough to just go straight for the Baron.
I don't know if that was on purpose from Legions, but he started out with the Emperor's Divide and then afterwards dashed in, and that caused Ericsson to just bounce back as soon as he flashed in. As remember, no flash on Sharp. He lost that against Legions before. Kerber is still dead. Same for Ericsson, they're going in.
Oh, Pedersen goes. Oh, Chrisberg, what are you bloody doing, mate? No! Oh my goodness, I was absolutely frightened for my life as Chrisberg opens up the curtains call in the wrong direction. Pedersen meant well, but it hasn't worked out as a double kill comes through for Kerberos off the back of the teleport. Woo! That was a little spicy.
And the theme of the day is throwing at Baron, and I feel like Dusty May have done that. Legion's no TP. He'll have to reset and go back. No, he can't even reset. And now the member of Dusty are trying to problem solve how to get into this Baron, but he's going down so fast.
It's going down so fast indeed. Legions is looking there on the sidelines for some kind of entrance. The smite's got to be good. The smite's got to be good. Is the smite good? It is! And it comes through as the Baron gets secured. Kerberos gives up his life as the Ornhorn might buy some time. Straight onto Chrisberg, but Chrisberg will pick up the kill. And Nordavind turned what was essentially a horrible situation for them into a positive.
Yeah, Nordavind now going towards that Infernal Drake, and Dusty losing their grip of the situation. They had a really good setup for the Drake, but they got over-eager, and that's kind of been the punish for all the teams we've seen today.
Double Infernal picked up as well. Let's take a look back at that fight off the back of the Ericsson catch.
And look at it, like it's so good setup. Legion has just been down in bot lane. He's just gotten a kill onto Kerberos, TP's onto the top side, gets the kill onto Ericsson, and then after this fight, you're just taking too long. TP's come back onto Ericsson, and this turn onto Chrisberg is essentially just not follow up well enough, and that makes sure that you can play around the range. You can see Chrisberg so far here. So easy for him to navigate these team fights, just getting in on these fights, and double kill for Kerberos. Just an overstay essentially from Dusty.
And they do pick up this Baron at the end as well. I was a little bit concerned about the smite. I thought it was there was some HP that was yeah, he's got it. Jack Flaxish does get the killed at the end here by Chrisberg. But honestly, do you know last game we saw a lot of like, I would say almost like tense fat finger moments from our teams. Yeah. Chrisberg, who's usually an absolute like rock in the bot lane, even he is feeling the pressure in these fights. Because although they didn't actually necessarily have a negative impact on the fight overall, a curtain call the wrong way in the middle of a fight when you've got an Alistar on top of you is definitely not what you were expecting to do in that team fight situation.
May, he just thought he was playing Kai'Sa. He's like, I'm just gonna dive onto the backline instead, but curtain call starts up, and look at this posturing. They're looking for a fight in the mid lane.
And they are straight onto touch. He gets knocked up. Chain CC'd. Chelm now off the back. Oh, the shockwave is good. And oh my lord, how is Touch still alive? This might be too much. A big sleep. Oh, an absolutely humongous sleep coming out from Sharp. The combinations of the ultimates is absolutely huge. Bonk onto Hoyes' head, and Sharp will pick up a kill. He's on a killing spree now. It looked good at the start. A good little catch for Dusty, but Nordavind turn it around.
Oh my god, Scoundrel, they use so much just to kill Touch, and after all their resources was spent trying to kill the support, Ericsson with that crucial shockwave, followed up by the sleep from Sharp. That was just so beautiful and well executed from Nordavind.
And now they are knocking on the inhibitor tower doors. It was an even game for so long, but Nordavind, they don't want to face relegations. They want to secure playoffs. And they are 7,000 gold in the lead. Dusty, they tried so hard in the early game. Sharp and Kerberos going to be a little careful here, but it is going to be a last-minute defense, as I think the Baron has just worn out. They will not get any inhibitor turrets, and Dusty will walk away with their base intact for the moment. Yeah,
but a 7k, 8k gold lead right now from Nordavind. Crucially for Dusty, they haven't taken any inhibitors, so they don't have to worry about super minions pushing down their base. And they can still have agency around the map with their composition in these team fights, but they have to be careful. They have to get that defensive vision out. They need to make sure that they can come up and contest on these Drakes, because you kind of need to stop Nordavind from stacking these Infernal Drakes now. They already have 2. They get on 3. Not only are you afraid of them getting to the soul, but that's going to be 4 Infernos. That's just too much damage, especially Chrisberg with these crits. Finished up the IE now, has the Gale Force. It's just insane amount of damage.
It's one of those things that when you have the Infernal Drakes stacking up, and especially if you're picking up the actual Infernal Drakes to get towards that soul, it kind of alleviates any scaling issues that you might have too, because your damage will just scale up with the percentage scale that you get from it. And then the Infernal Soul on top of that is going to give you the added burst in these team fights. Scaling not really even in the back of the minds of Nordavind right now, especially off the back of what was an incredible set of plays. That was some perfectly executed team fights. Even with the catch onto Touch, Nordavind were able to just bounce back. And Ericsson, even though he's 1-4-5, has like some of these ultimates have been instrumental in the way that they've won these team fights.
And here's the problem for Dusty. Like, you just saw the map, you just saw how dark it was for them. They're doing a really good job at shutting them down on the Nordavind camp, and just taking a look at the 280 carries now, Scoundrel. That's just such a huge difference in the 2 items as well. 3 items and a half already on the side of Chrisberg, and Poise, not even on his Infinity Edge yet. Like, that is an item that is a must for you to have to win these fights, or else you're just going to be lacking in the damage department. Legions can't be your only source of that backline damage. You need to have Poise on that AD there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it's over for Dusty, because it definitely is not. We've seen people come back from these kind of situations. Obviously, as we've said before, the scaling is there for them. And they have obviously got 2 Drakes. So they have delayed the soul for a little longer. Even if this next Drake falls, it is not the soul point, or rather, it's not the soul itself. It obviously is soul point for Nordavind, but it's not the soul itself. So you don't have to go crying with your tail between your legs if you end up losing this dragon. Of course, I'm sure Dusty do not want to lose this dragon, but they have time.
I mean, I think I've seen Nordavind throw a bigger lead before, so, you know, that's always something to keep in the back of your mind. But Hoist, that's 2 times you've taken that little seed, whatever it's called, to your face, and that's just half HP taking you down. That's the 3rd one!
And he's gone drowsy now as well. They want to follow up on it as the Gale Force tries to get him out. They will back off with the Ornhorn and drop the Azir turret in the mid lane too. They are just desperately trying to prevent engage coming out from Nordavind, who just picked up that Drake uncontested. Kerberos now back down in the bot lane with a big wave to work with, and the Baron is about to become available on the map.
Yeah, and you saw how hard Dusty had just getting to the Drake pit. Now moving up against the Baron, like, it's just such a hard task for Dusty here, and they're going to be walking in blind. They're not even going to know if they've started this. I don't know if Blue Ops are up for them either, and there it goes down, but 3 Infernals. The damage department is high from Dusty. We've already said this. With TP coming out, they can just disengage this, and then Curb is split pushing bot side.
And going in for a nice spot, a good body slam actually onto Pedersen. They have to go for it right now, but the flashes are coming through, and Chrisberg has already forced 1 out of the fight. They'll get 1 kill, but the health bars are low. Chrisberg 1! Can he get 2? They're going for the 3rd and maybe the 4th as the ultimate drops down. Touch is trying to buy some time to allow Chrisberg to get that ultimate through, and in the meantime, Kerberos didn't even need to join the fight. He's on that inhibitor. Hoyes is not even safe right now as Chrisberg runs in, 1 shot, and now he's going for his 2nd kill. Now his 3rd kill on the fight. And that'll be his 3rd overall, and Kerberos is still threatening these Nexus towers. Misses a win for Nordavind overall. Kerberos still trying to push onto the Nexus. In the meantime, they're going to try and duo the Baron on the backline.
I think they're just going to be able to do that. The damage from Chrisberg was absolutely absurd in that team fight. You can see those crit 1100 coming out, and this is not even the scariest he's going to be. He's going to be get back after shopping. He's going to have items. He's going to be on the way towards that 3rd Infernal, the 4th Infernal in 3 minutes if the game has not ended by that point. And it's a grim situation for Dusty Scoundrel. They're really having a hard time finding out how to navigate these team fights. All in all, in that 5v4, they still lost out.
Take a look back at it as well. I feel like it was the play that Dusty needed to make, but I mean, the disengage was too good, I think, from Nordavind. Yeah,
it really was. Dusty, I mean, touch first with the body slam and afterwards with the cask. It was absolutely perfect. Chrisberg then flashing forward to take out Legion. So Hoyes is the only backline damage right now, and he's already so far behind the curve, as we've already explained. So he's really no challenge from Chrisberg, who's just with his like long range and all the damage coming through. Look at this damage. 1, 2, and it's just like, it's massive. Flash is even trying to flash out, but it's just going to be wasted.
Even bopped him for 654 at the end of the fight too. I mean, Chrisberg absolutely on fire. We kind of set it up and talked about it earlier. When Nordavind do well, it's often because Chrisberg does well. I tell you what, mate, he's got 15k gold. He's 704. Chrisberg's doing kind of well.
Absolutely insane. And really why he is one of the best AD carries in the league. When he is played around, he does so much work, as you said yourself. And I gotta say, even Kerberos on that Gnar has done so well getting his own resources. Only been caught out twice, I think, on a side lane. And you know what? That's good numbers for Kerberos.
That is good numbers for Kerberos. He's definitely had worse. Yeah, He's actually been very effective in the split push. Sometimes when I've seen Kerberos split, he's been desperately trying to get these objectives, but has often been called to the team fight a little too early. But this time round, he has managed to pick up inhibitors. He's had created a lot of pressure. And now with that Baron, I just don't know if Dusty can hold on.
So there's
too much pressure coming through. And there's one more inhibitor turret to drop as well. That should go down eventually.
Chrisberg, no flash. That is the crucial part. If you can make a Shurima shuffle work, that's absolutely perfect. But once again, Swirl Seed lands onto two members.
Yeah, they are, and the engage A little bit back and forth. I don't think Nordavind really wanted the full engage, but what they really wanted was the space to get the third inhibitor of the game, and that is every single inhibitor now dropped for Dusty. The comeback from this position seems nigh on impossible.
All these swirl seeds once again. I feel like they're just heat seeking from the side of Sharp. He just hits every single one of them, and it's making it so hard for Dusties to come in and fight. You can see already half HP, the ground, the work coming out here. It's going to be hard finding the team fight, but they are going to try now.
The Curtain Call comes out, buying some time and space as Flaxius and Pedersen takes the majority of it. The Nexus turrets are dropping, and Chrisberg picks up his first kill of the fight. He's gone legendary in this game. Touch zoning out Legions. Nothing they can do. The Shockwave is good enough. And Nordavind will sweep their way into a guaranteed playoff spot, and Dusty, unfortunately, will find themselves in relegations.
It's definitely been a tough journey for Dusty. They finally tried to getting online here towards the end of the split, but in the end it was just not enough to play against Nordavind here, who finally showed up and did not drop the ball. As we said, Nordavind had looked a bit inconsistent, but you know, with this form going into playoffs, not always counting on a Chrisberg on Kaiser, but even playing around him on a facilitating champion like Jin, that is perfect for you to see as a Nordavind fan towards the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not sure about facilitating with 700 quits.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That sounds like pure carry to me. Chrisberg really popped off on that game. And obviously, congratulations to Nordavind, because I believe in terms of the standings, that puts them in second right now. I think they actually have that edge over Tricked. So they are 5-5 and currently in second in the standings. Unfortunately, Dusty, there is no way for them to catch and get back into this. They are guaranteed that relegation spot and will have to fight for their survival in the NLC. We're going to hand it over to wind the day down with our boy Jake and the rest of the analyst desk. We'll see you soon.
Sup, yo, it's me, your boy Jake. Hello, and welcome to the caster desk, analyst desk, that's where we are, as we're getting ready to break down today's action. But before we go a little bit too far into the future, let's talk just about what happened there. Massive win for Nordavind. They've locked themselves a spot into playoffs. Now there's 2 teams fighting for that spot remaining, but honestly, great stuff there for Nordavind, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, it was so precarious, because if they lost that, they would lose the head-to-head against Dusty, and there would be a tiebreaker in which Nordavind would automatically be sent to relegation. So they've gone from, you know, if they lost that, they were going to be in relegations to securing a spot in playoffs of that one game. Huge one, and after a rough split, Nordavind had to come through, and they managed to.
Really did. Now, Orcs, I actually believe you are ready to talk us through your favorite play from that game. So let's bring up the drawing board and let you start scribbling on our screens.
So I'll just let the clip roll. This honestly is just a... Wait, I think it's actually at the end of the clip, and it won't go back.
You're fine.
I'm the one who set these up.
That's poor, mate.
I
should have at least drawn us a picture.
Foxdrop didn't screw it up. He got it done and perfectly every time. And you're out here like an amateur, like an absolute amateur, screwing it up.
Okay, it's fixed now. It's fixed.
Okay. Well, thank you, production team, for fixing it.
Definitely me.
Mistakes.
Definitely me who fixed it. So you can see the clip playing out, and this is a situation where it's just a massive overcommit onto a target. And you can see how much it's actually been onto this Gragas. They're throwing all of the CC at him. And even after that, the Gragas is still alive for such a long time, by the way. And it's a support Gragas. This feels like extremely wasted. But this critical moment, as Touch is just about to fall down, you can see the ball come flying in over here. And you just know what's going to come on the back of this. Huge shockwave. And then this is even more beautiful, as the ball comes in from Lilia. The 4-man sleep from Sharp. And yes, definitely an overcommit from Dusty, an overstep looking for the wrong target, but Nordavind's response was massive, and it was just so clean, beautiful to see.
Really, really good stuff there from Nordavind. And actually, we have their jungler standing by for an interview. Sharp is here. Sharp, how you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm on top of the moon after that one. It felt really good to secure playoffs.
I really bet you are. Yeah, we're locked into playoffs. So team has like everything right now for Team Nordavind. Are you guys excited? I know you're obviously quite pumped, but what was comms like as that Nexus went down?
I think people were more relieved, because I thought people were really nervous before this one, because there was a lot riding on just this game. Like, worst case, relegations or something, or without a playoffs, or best case we fight for second. So I think they're just really relieved after that one.
Yeah. So it was quite a back and forth game, to be honest. You guys, obviously showed that it was important to you guys, and there were, minimal risks being taken. It was playing purely for that win, for that lock-in or that last spot. What was everything like within the game for you guys? How did you kind of feel that, you guys were all going down in that game?
I think the other people were, my teammates were more worried than me, because I felt like I was kind of in the zone that game, because on Lille I could kind of run the map, especially against their comp.
Yeah.
So I was kind of chilling the whole time, just doing, okay, we do this, but I think as Ericsson, he was a bit disappointed after that game, because he died a bit, a few times, he said, but I think overall the mood was pretty good.
He got a lot of attention put in mid, to be fair, especially in that early game. He constantly getting shuffled from underneath his tower. I'd be a little tilted if I was him in that case. But you can't be too upset. You did qualify for playoffs, and you guys, had a good game. It was definitely a rocky one, and I mean, what a way to end the whole series on. Well, end the season on for you guys. Last of all, obviously, there's still ties. There's still teams caught below you. One last spot remains within your group. Who do you think is going to be the last team joining you in playoffs?
Oh, that's a really tough one. It's between who? Godsend?
Godsend and Granite, I believe.
Godsend and Granite.
My notes here. Yeah, it's Godsend and Granite who are currently tied below you right now.
Okay. Well, honestly, I think Godsend is gonna take it if they get out of this slump. I mean, they've had some rough times, but I think with the players they have, they can take the win against Granite.
Interesting. Well, congratulations on the win, Sharp. Thank you for your insight on everything, and good luck with playoffs, mate. Honestly, hopefully we'll speak to you soon. All right, see you later.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Not a Granite believer like me.
What a wild ride though today has been. Like, so many crazy games, and the fact that they could have been in relegations and now they are in it's like tied second in their group. I mean, we knew things were going to be close. Like we said at the start of the day, we knew these last two games were going to be dicey. We knew the group was very tight, but still a bit wild, all things considered. Yeah,
really was. Let's have a step away from this game as we do round out and look at the complete chaos that we've had over the day. It has been upset city today.
Yeah, especially for me, who got 0-4 on the today. Not my finest work. Although, to be fair, it takes skill to go 0-4, so I'm going to claim that one. Barrage versus Kova here. I mean, Barrage were looking really, really solid, and Kova being able to pull that one out. And obviously, this is probably the biggest upset of the day, if not the biggest upset of the entire split, I would say, here in the NLC. Fnatic Rising going down against Riddle. Riddle winning this game doesn't even do anything. They're not even in playoffs. They've not been a good team the whole split, and they still managed to bring down Fnatic Rising, which is honestly just a miracle in itself. And Ore here, the guy on your screen, just popping off mega in that.
Oof.
Oh yeah, that's a highlight.
I love the highlight there. Thanks, guys. I do want to note that the one time you voted for Fnatic, they lost. So I think this might be you, mate, who caused that one.
Absolutely.
My bad.
I mean, I don't know. I just think it's wild, and we don't have the excuse we had before that. They don't have their full roster, because they did have their full roster. And as much as it doesn't change things for Riddle, it's showing that Fnatic aren't unbeatable, which has kind of been the thought process in previous splits and even earlier in this split. But I mean, yeah, this one, another close one, another nail biter in Nordavind Dusty. Huge consequences for this match. Little mistake here from Christopher with the ultimate. I was losing my mind at that moment, honestly, but managed to bounce back and pull it together. But you can see the nerves, the pressure that's on these players, because this was a huge match for both teams. Unfortunately, Dusty now finding themselves in relegations as a result of that one.
Yeah. Now, I do believe, Orcs, you got ourselves an MVP ready. So your favorite player of the day. Talk me through who you voted for today.
Well, I thought it was a no-brainer. Ore, huge 1v9 pentakill. I mean, obviously his team was helping him, but he was the hype player. He was doing the work on the Samira. Super aggressive player, which you love to see. Yes. And also dynamic duo with Bravado. those two playing really well together with that Raul Samira combo. Just great to see. And especially, I think the big thing for me is the fact that, as you said, this match didn't matter in terms of placement. It wasn't going to change anything for Riddle. They didn't need to win that. It really didn't do anything in terms of the split, and yet they still went for it. They still tried the hardest, and they managed to beat Fnatic. And I think it kind of rounds the split out on a positive note, because typically, I mean, if you go into relegations, it's obviously, it sucks, but you'll play in relegations and you can win those and come out. If you go to playoffs, and you get to play in playoffs, but they kind of just get left to sort of, oh, well, your split's over. But what a way to end it.
Yes. Yes.
I thought it was a good point. You know?
I mean, I'll give it to you, Chief. Definitely, you definitely made a point.
Did he? Was that even a point?
Let's yes. Let's have a look at our standings and see where everybody is right now. It is all up in the air. Group A, though, Division A, number 1 is going to be XL sitting at the top. Then it is Nordavind and Tricked 5 and 5 tied below them. Godsent and Granite below that, and then Dusty 3 and 7.
Those are ordered a little bit wrongly. Granite. See, I don't know about you guys. My math isn't too sharp.
Oh yeah, what the?
5 does beat 4 in terms of points.
What are you doing?
Granite is 4 and 6, so I think that's where that's at. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Granite's 4 and 6, so that's not a 5 and 6. That's a 4 and 6. So Granite, and so if Godsent win tomorrow, they'll be 5 and 5, tied with Tricked and Nordavind. But I believe there's some funky head-to-head stuff going on there, so I'm not going to comment too much about it.
I think they're actually, from what I remember, I think they're even in head-to-head, so they would end up.
You're right, actually, they are all even in head-to-head. Yeah, so the 5-5 teams would all be a tiebreaker at that point.
So the state of the group is, if Godsent win, they play a tiebreaker to decide who gets what seeding spot, but everyone's fate is locked. BTXL, Nordavind, Tricked, and Godsent are going playoffs. Granite are staying in the NLC, but are not going to playoffs. Yeah, because
if Godsent lose and then they're tied with Granite, do they have the head-to-head?
Oh, actually, true. Yeah, you're right.
All right, guys, you guys are getting
okay.
No, you guys are going down a path which we can't be bothered to go down.
Okay,
Let's
I
move
was
over
wrong.
to
I had no
see
idea
what's going on over there.
Standing stuff, yeah, cool. B is a lot easier, honestly.
Yes, this one's definitely a lot easier. Fnatic at the top, then Barrage and Team Singularity below them. Then Cova were beautiful upset at the beginning of the day. Then Riddle, then M&M, who are unfortunately locked into the relegation tournament. Definitely an easier group to break down on that one, to be fair, guys.
Not much to break down, unfortunately, for us. But we'll be seeing the conclusion of that group.
Honestly.
If you guys...
Hey, man, it's complicated. Maths is tough. I haven't done maths in what? What am I now? 20...
Just remember, like, you think you have a clear idea, and you're like, oh, wait, but what about this?
Age.
And what about that?
I can't remember, mate. See, that's how bad I am at maths. Like
that's
numbers is not my
maths,
thing.
Mate. Let's be real.
It's a number, bro. It's a number. I'm claiming it.
Well, if you're all called Dan and an analyst for League of Legends, we got 2 spots openings up, so maybe get in touch.
Are they replacing you? That'd be great.
I can't count.
Honestly, you should have. Earlier today, I was like, "Oh yes, I'm on the desk with Foxdrop. It's gonna be great. Me, him, and Scandal gonna absolutely." And then I heard Jake was on the desk, and I'm like, "Oh no." Ruined my perfect day, honestly.
I'm sure everyone at home also probably said the same thing. Now, there is more League of Legends to come, don't worry here at the NLC, and we will be returned by a competent host in Xscoundrel for tomorrow's matches, which I've got up on my other screen, but I didn't open because I'm a moron. We'll be starting off the day with Godsent versus XL, Singularity versus Cova, M&M versus Fnatic Rising. Oh, God, just kind of beating a dead horse there on that one. And then Barrage versus Riddle to end the day.
We saw, a huge upset today.
Yeah.
Who's to say, right? When it doesn't matter anymore, we saw Riddle step up. Maybe M&M.
Maybe, but my hopes aren't as high. I think Fnatic are going to be playing with probably viciousness in them right after the loss today. But if you want to get involved in more League of Legends, this isn't the only place to soak in all of the goodies from the Nordics and the UK. There is the Telia Masters and all of that goodies over there. Guldborg covers the Denmark one, and there's a bunch of other ones as well. I can't list all the countries off because my brain is melting and my ability to speak is slowly deteriorating. But on Sunday as well, we do have the UK LC for the final week over there, so make sure you get your hands on to all of that. Guldborg is all time. Finland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, you F word. I'm not going to say that on stream, Guldborg. Nice try. We'll be back, though, tomorrow for the last day of the NLC. Everything has fallen apart. I said we'll be back with a competent host tomorrow, Nick Scoundrel.
Scoundrel.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you for bearing with me. I don't know how you've done it. We'll see you later. Bye.